All right, so today we're going to be talking about three draw bends, which are usually the bends that give people the most trouble when they first start out with bending on the harmonica. So, unlike other, holes on the harmonica, there are three possible semitones you can get on this bad boy. And that means it can sometimes be tricky to get that right pitch. You go too high, go too low. So today what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to show you some methods that have helped me. I'm self-taught. Try to find the sweet spot for each of those three bends. So if you don't know how to bend notes, quit watching this video. You're a baby. You're a noob. You need to find another video that'll teach you the mechanics. But this is for people who already know how to bend. They just need a little help, narrowing in on those right pitches. Okay, so now first off, we got the half step bend. Half step bend, not that hard. Very important note. Very important if you're playing the blues, anything in the minor pentatonic. And really, it's good not to overthink this. You're just raising your tongue, just, reducing ever so slightly the volume of your mouth to redirect airflow through the harp. So here I'll show you on my A harp. So here's the straight three draw. And then what you want to do is you want to just raise your tongue a bit, and that'll lower it a semitone. Something that also helps when you're trying to pin down that half note bend, right? Something that also helps is if you raise your jaw a little bit, and that can get your tongue closer to the roof of your mouth. So it's kind of like, look at my jaw there. Pretty self-explanatory. Just don't overthink the half draw bend, okay? The half step bend. Next, I'm going to talk about the 1.5 step bend. That's the next easiest. That's three semitones. If you already know how to bend on three draw, this is kind of an easy one. You're basically just bringing your tongue as far back as it'll go until you hit this kind of like wall. And if you try to go past that, you get this really ugly sound, this very harsh metallic sound. It's kind of hard to explain, but when you practice enough, you can kind of see it. You can really hear it. So I'm gonna use my D because I don't give this thing enough love. So basically, I'm gonna start on just the straight three draw on my D harp, and then I'm gonna bring it back until I get to that 1.5 semitone bend. So you can see there, you can hear that kind of whistling. You went too far. So what you want to do is you want to kind of like keep pulling back, but you don't want to pull back too much. So you see that's kind of where you go with that. So last, I'm going to address kind of the toughest one, and that's the whole step bend. Now the whole step bend, that's a little bit more common than the 1.5. And it's one of those hard sweet spots to find because it's in between two sweet spots. That makes it really, really tricky. It's easy to get it too low, and it's also easy to get it a bit too high. Now, there are a lot of tricks that I've been told that, I've worked with people who have given me this advice, and I've given this advice in the past to people I know who wanted to learn harp. So one thing I hear a lot of people say is a tool that can help you pin down the whole tone bend, right, is to use an electronic tuner, whether that be a tuner you buy at a music store, or it can be an app you download on your phone, and that can work. It can get you very precise, very scientifically accurate, very scientific way of pinning down that whole step bend. But I wouldn't recommend that because when you're doing that, you're making a machine or an algorithm do the listening for you. If you're a musician, that's not what you should be doing. Okay, you need to be using your ears, right? But next, what a lot of people recommend, and I find this pretty useful when you're trying to really nail that pitch at first, is the use of kind of a reference harmonica. So basically, let's say hypothetically, like you take your C harp, you want to hit the three draw whole step bend, which would be the note A. Now, let's say if I just have this, I don't know where I'm supposed to be hitting this note hypothetically. Like, I could be all over the place, slipping, sliding, slaloming. I don't know where I am. But here's the thing, like, if you take a D harp, right, just do the simple two draw, straight two draw, that's A. So now that makes things a little bit easier. This is your goalpost, and you're going to try to hit it with your main harmonica. So let me just try it hypothetically, like, is that right? Let's see. Sounds pretty close. And you know, that's a really useful way to kind of learn it. It trains your ears, and it really helps your mouth get used to like what it feels like to hit the sweet spot for that note. But what if I were to tell you there's an easier way to learn the whole step bend? And all you don't need a reference harmonica, you don't need a tuner, all you need is just one harmonica and your ears. Sounds weird, but it's perfectly doable, and and it's very intuitive. When I realized this, it blew my mind. And I think it might blow your mind too. No guarantees, but don't sue me. So as you're probably well aware, if you're kind of this far in your harmonica journey, holes 4 through 7, that contains your major diatonic scale, right? So, you know, it's the most basic scale in music. Simple. Everyone knows it. But when you hit all those over, and that's the convenient thing about holes 4 through 7, they contain all the notes on that scale. You don't need any draw bends, blow bends, overdraws, overblows. It's all there. Let's say, however, you want to do that same scale on the lower octave, holes 1 through 4. That presents problems because there you have to fill those missing notes in with whole note bends. So specifically, you're going to need a whole note bend on the 3 draw and on the 2 draw to kind of fill it in, because, you know, Richter tuning, it excludes some of the notes, and you have to approach it like an algebra problem. And this is kind of the convenient thing that allows you to really pin down the whole note bend. So let's say, like, I'm doing it descending. So I start with my tonic, and now I'm coming down to the 6th note of the scale, and that's going to be my 3 whole step bend. And you know, it'll be a little bit weird to try to do it at first, but trust me, it'll work. Let me kind of show you like a natural process. So I go like, well, that didn't sound right, did it? And that's because I was over bending on the 3 draw. So let's try that again, okay? That didn't sound right either. It was a little bit too high. Did you hear that? I need to kind of like get it between those. And this is the really useful thing about kind of using the major diatonic scale to pin down that whole step bend. It's kind of like forcing your ears to not just think about a single pitch, but how that pitch interacts and its place in an entire key. It's very useful. So let's try that again, huh? That's pretty close, huh? So yeah, I find that's actually like a very good way to kind of like practice those bends, practice, you know, like memorizing in your mouth, training your ears to kind of identify that sweet spot. And again, I'm just self-taught. I'm not the most knowledgeable. I've just been playing for a few months. I'm just kind of sharing some things that have helped me. So yeah, I hope this helps. If If you're this far in your harmonica journey, very good job. You're doing well. So yeah, if you have any questions, I probably didn't do a great job explaining everything, but yeah, if you have any additional questions or need clarification, you can just put it down in the comments.